This is the thing that all the SDR bros are missing.
Yeah.
This is why their advice generally sucks, is because,
SDR bros.
yeah, the cold calling bros, the email bros, whatever.
No, I saw one today. They put the stupidest reframe ever. And I'm like, that might sound good
Dude,
on
it's the
paper.
worst.
Yeah. But like as a
Yeah.
guy, I've run hundreds of thousands of dollars of software purchases for these companies on the ops side. I get prospected a lot, Like if you come in at me with that reframe, I'm like, sorry, dude, let's go on to the next SDR.
Yeah, what are you doing? I saw someone the other day saying, I mean, we could have a whole podcast just about bad SDR bro advice on LinkedIn, but like last week, this guy was like, oh, if you're talking to somebody that says that they're not interested, then you should just say, that's a very fair point, Dave. Most professionals that I talk to that are in your position are always interested in seeing what kind of new
Yeah.
technology is available. Would you want to just take a look at it just so you know what's in the market? And they're like, you'll book a
Yeah.
meeting that way. And I was like, why would you want a meeting with
Yeah.
that person? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think the chances
Literally
are that they're
disqualified
actually,
themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they're not going to show up. And if they are, that's not going to become pipeline. If you were on my team, I would be fucking pissed that you're doing this. But
Yeah, this one was the same. Like when people say we're interested but not now, what they normally mean is, and then it
we're
gives them
not
like
interested.
these three options. Yeah, and then it's like,
Yeah.
which one of those do you fall into? And my answer was yours. Like, no, I'm not. You don't have to be convinced. That's what it means. So like,
Right.
pack sand
Yeah.
with the
I'm
reframe.
not picking up what you're
Interesting.
putting down right now. That's fine.
Yeah.
And like the reason that they give all this really terrible advice is because they're not seeing the other things that happen that cause them to be successful or not successful. So it's
Yeah.
like there's nothing like if you're working for a good product, like the people at Gong would always say that like the best part
Mm.
about prospecting for Gong is
Mm.
that when you would get a sales leader on the phone, they all knew who Gong was.
Yeah. That's
That's
a great
what
point.
makes that's what's going to make your cold outbound successful.
Also,
So
I think you told me in the last episode you were impressed by Gong's content strategy, and now, and also shout out to Monica. I went hard on my own LinkedIn strategy probably 30 days ago. I've doubled in size, doubled
what?
in followers, doubled. I mean, to be fair, it's 1,500 now. It was 700, but like that's doubled. You can't
That's
you
still
can't do that
really
on
good.
Instagram anymore. Yeah, but also a lot of them now are Gong AEs, and I'm paying attention to their content. I'm like, dang, that's not on accident for that many
No.
AEs of one company to be putting like thoughtful, original posts on LinkedIn that get engagement, and it keeps that Gong name top of mind. So yeah, I agree. Then when you get on that sales call, they know what Gong is already, and they're just going in warm to begin with.
Yeah, that's a great example. And like they are their own ICP, right? Like they're
Yeah,
selling to salespeople. Their network is made up of other salespeople, so
that's
it's
a great
perfect.
point.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
but it's not just them. Like I was listening to Elena Verna, the head of growth at Lovable, on a podcast
Mm.
recently, and Lovable has the same strategy, and they encourage everyone at the company in every department to build a strong personal brand on social, which
Mm.
also works for them because it's like they're especially pushing their engineers and their product team to be putting out content
Yeah.
because that's a lot of their ICP, right?
Yeah, well, there was a product guy from a company I worked at. He's the president there, and I've been pushing him, or I reached out to him the other day. He's trying to get into content. I suspect that he compares himself to the CEO, and she's more sales oriented. But these product guys, I'm like, man, there's a craving for specifics, and you product guys that are really doing the tech stuff, you have specifics to say. And so I love it when they take like a real screenshot from Codex or Cursor or
Yeah.
Claude or even Lovable at what they're doing, and you get a conversation going. So again, all these different angles where, I mean, the common denominator for me is, are you willing to say real things and sound like a human and then talk about what you actually offer the market? But two, like it makes this space where I hope the sales are coming easier and more naturally to the companies that are doing this.
They are, I mean, they 100% are. Like that's like Lovable is very, very candid that this is a big part of their growth
Yeah.
strategy, and like this is one of the big reasons that they've had such explosive growth in such a short amount of time. Like Gong, same thing, and you'll see other little micro examples of companies that are doing this. Like Recall.ai is a good example. Post Hog is a good example. Chili Piper. So in terms of like how, if you're a founder listening to this, how you can implement this, this is what I want people to think about. And there's what we're really doing here is we're bringing in a middle layer between like, I already asked all my investors for intros, and then
Right.
I'm gonna blast out a bunch of emails.
Do me a favor. Let's go. I want to go through all the steps, but give us an intro again of what you do, what your company is, who you serve, and then you said something really interesting that your clients have been asking you for recently. So just tell us what you're seeing like currently in the market, and then I know that we've got these. I want to give these actionable items to the owners that are paying attention to this. So let's start there and then like take it from the top and just bring it all through every step that you got.
Cool, sounds good. Yeah, so I'm Monica Stewart. I'm the founder of MSP Consulting, and I help B2B SaaS companies grow their sales organizations between 1 and 10 million ARR.
Nice.
Yeah. And so recently there's this really interesting thing that's been popping up where, I've always helped people with building their sales systems, building their sales team, building their post-sales. And the number one thing that all my clients are asking me about right now is how to create a brand on social media and how to grow on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've spent a lot of time learning how to do for my own business. And so, seeing that this is like a need in the market that everybody has right now, I just created this framework for how to apply it to startups.
We talked earlier. So one obvious reason to do it is like, all right, well, cold outbound sucks. Warm market, way more fun to have conversations with. So that's obvious. But then like, I know you've seen some successes in the past with your clients where what's some of the stuff where just all of a sudden they got a DM or they got an outreach that they weren't quite expecting because they spent just a little, in my opinion, a little bit of effort doing a few things and getting that message out there on LinkedIn. Some of these businesses I'm looking at now, they're these $6 million to $10 million managed service providers in the tech space, and they spend a lot of money on events. There's an event right now going on in Las Vegas called Kaseya Connect. MSP Nation is another one. I mean, they'll probably do 4 to 6 events, which could easily be $1 million a year on event spend if you think about that. So what could happen instead? Like, what's the contrast of like, hey, you think you got 200 quote unquote hot leads because they were at the event, but here's a real message that, but here's a real message that slid into your DMs. Like what are the results they see when they start doing this on the LinkedIn side?
Well, I think the other thing, and I'm really glad that you brought up in-person events as an example, because everybody will consider that as like an activity that they should do. And they absolutely, they should be doing it for sure. And what's your actual cost per opportunity generated from those, from that thing? And like, I don't want you to tell me that you got 30 leads from the conference because you got 30 people's email address. Like that's not a lead, right?
Well, they're like barely swiping the badge that they've got, they're probably not even gonna check that later.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, you're there. Every other person that's there is also there in sales mode. And so in a weird way, it's like, it's the time that you have the highest competition for your buyer's attention. And it is crazy to me that people will spend tens of thousands of dollars or more on a conference or a trade show.
Yep, $200K sometimes.
And then the rest of the year,
mid-market enterprise.
Yeah, like when I worked in financial services, we had one conference that we spent $500,000 on every year, and we were not a big firm. There was like a 100-person company. So really, like LinkedIn is a 24/7 conference. It's just, that's what it is. It's 24 hours.
See, people are in the same mindset too. That's so good that you said that. Like, that's the state of mind. I wouldn't say they're necessarily in work mode, right? They're more in like, we're at this event we're supposed to be at. We're probably not allowed to go drinking yet, so we're sort of being professional, but we're feeling social. They're in conference mindset. That's good.
They're in conference mindset, 100%. And it's like, and LinkedIn is the same thing. So I don't understand why people will 100% invest all of this money in these events, which there's some of them that are good. Some of them you don't really get anything out of, but they feel weird about doing the same thing online. And I think that's the mindset that you really need to flip, where it's like, there's this pool that's available to you. And it doesn't matter who your buyers are or what industry you're in. Like, you can do it. Like, even if I don't care if you're a landscaping business, Like you're telling me you can't go on and filter for people that have jobs that live in your
Yeah.
area?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's
that's
the other thing. Almost everyone on LinkedIn has a job too. I think people forget about that. And the majority of people actually using it compared to like TikTok, well, I guess Instagram, TikTok, not the best comparison, but they're normally in some sort of middle income to high income W-2 range. It's a gold mine. Also, something you said clicked in my head. Some of these guys go to these conferences because they air quote have to, like, oh,
yeah.
we're not relevant unless they're there. But then there'll be ghost town on LinkedIn. That's another thing that's really blown my mind now that I think about it. Is you're paying the 100 grand, 10 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand because you have to be there to be relevant in the industry. But then you're
Well, you
crickets
won't
on
do
the
it.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the rest
crazy.
of the time. I'm really glad that you mentioned TikTok because there is no better time to start doing this on LinkedIn. It's only going to get more competitive, and I say
Yeah.
this because like searches for B2B content on on TikTok are up 350% in the last year. And so
Yeah.
what does this mean? It means that more B2B creators that are on LinkedIn are going to be moving to TikTok and Instagram. I'm on every platform except TikTok right now, and I'm going to start a
Yeah.
TikTok account like this month. Um, and that also means that new creators that are coming up are going to start making more B2B content
Yeah.
because it's starting to become a big category that people are looking for. And we've already seen this happen in other categories. And so
Yeah.
the competition for people talking about the things that you're talking about if you're in B2B is going to increase, and it's going to happen really fast from younger people who are really good at making content. And so if you
Yeah.
want to get
Almost.
mind share, like now is the time to do it.
Almost all of those platforms have aged up. That's what Gary Vee would say,
Yeah.
except maybe Snapchat. But that really clicked for me. I was about to go on a business trip with one of the VPs of sales, and he was talking about on a night where he takes it easy. He's like, "Oh, I'll just go have a couple of drinks with the prospect, with the client, and then I'll just go in the hotel room and I'll like swipe through TikTok for, he said some amount of hours." And I mean, this is a grown man, like 48 years old, and I was like, "Oh, it really
Yeah.
has." They're doing like, he's the ideal client profile for a lot of people in business to business. He's on TikTok. He didn't say Facebook, he didn't say Instagram. I personally can't keep up with it. The day you ever see my brand on TikTok, it's because I paid someone to start managing TikTok. But
Do it.
I still think LinkedIn gives you. I've done a lot of content on YouTube and Instagram. I did over the last 2 years, really. By comparison, the views you get for the effort of production on LinkedIn are also so tremendous. And I do agree. I've seen enough of these waves now where you got to get on the wave early on. The people on it earliest will benefit the most, or not even earliest, but at the right time will benefit the most. So still, I agree with you on the TikTok side, but I still think that LinkedIn is so undervalued for everyone still. Everyone.
It is really undervalued, and like I mean I would say that it's not even early anymore. Like I've been creating content on
Yeah.
LinkedIn since 2018.
Yeah.
That was like early. That was so early that you weren't even really getting crazy views yet, and no one really understood
Yeah.
why we were doing it. And then I would say that like the golden age of LinkedIn was like 2021 to 2022.
Yeah.
Everything was super easy. But it's like the best time to get started was yesterday. The second best time
Yeah.
is today.
Well, all right.
What are
So
you
I don't
waiting?
have pushback on that, but I do have an observation. The
Okay.
golden age for a lot of platforms on the brand growth side, particularly around video, was just post-COVID. So like
Right.
2020 to 2022. And I saw brands, I remember getting in the DMs on Instagram of some of these young brands where I was like, oh, you got to do this and you got to do that. And they just kept putting out video and they grew to millions. And one of those girls, Lattes and Lisa's, I think, she was just on Rich Sommer's podcast. I'm like, dang, she started in 2019. She never stopped, and it just grew so tremendously. I also remember I would post little shorts on YouTube. I'd get 12 new followers overnight. So there was, I think all the platforms were competing for something. And I've heard other people that specialize in LinkedIn also say that they could get millions of views sometimes on LinkedIn. But there's something weird happen in the psyche of the user base, and that's my own echo chamber because I'm kind of like this normal traditional W2 guy user. I think people just started accepting more than like, oh, so and so got a promotion, and here's another picture of the dinner, the sales dinner they just had. And now, like, that's really popping off of LinkedIn. It's just working. People are having those conversations, and something with AI is making the human voice louder, so they're winning too. So I do think we're in another little like squeeze or wave, and the people who realize this and get it right now, they're gonna pop off. Maybe not the millions like we did in those last few years, but it's a tremendous time right now.
Well, I mean, also like I see people go viral on LinkedIn every single day for all kinds of crazy reasons, and it is interesting. The bar for content is super low compared to other platforms. Like you can just do really, really, really basic like talking head gap video and do some really basic editing in CapCut. You don't even have to have any graphics. Like just put your subtitles on there and you're good to go. There are people doing some really creative things, but like 90% of my content is just text posts.
Yeah.
And it works.
Text post. I stopped even trying. I like to talk on relevant news if it applies to businesses, particularly in AI. And my old process would be pull out the phone, flip it, make the video, put the little headline there, do some caps. And on LinkedIn, I can do the same thing like today where I can just screenshot the headline, put it in there, write text, you're done. It'll get the same amount of views, the same amount of engagement.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, also, like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for a brand, but a lot of my influencer friends are just screenshotting viral posts from Reddit.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're going viral on LinkedIn too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those little hacks that you can do.
Yeah. Bring us back to the businesses that are making, so yours were like 1 to 5, 1 to 10. Is that what I heard you say?
1 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking of these guys that are 6 to 10. They want to make money. They want to make sales. They've got maybe 5 to 20 people, maybe up to 100 at 10 million. But what is in it for them? Because you and I are talking about like the signals of success are things like views, clicks, engagement, whatever. But what is in it for them on the sales side? And then go back to your steps for them. What can they start doing right away to make this thing make money for them? And you can even start with number one again. We could just start from the top on that.
Yeah, totally. So in terms of what is in it for them, I mean, I'm talking leads, like I'm talking directly generated pipeline. And I want to, we'll talk about, how to actually do this in a way that is not like super weird and salesy. But like an example, I have a client that's a financial services company. They are very small. There's like 6 people in the whole company. They're doing really good revenue. And their market is tiny. It's like specifically the largest financial institutions in the world. Many of their clients are in Europe. And so you would think like, no, that's not on LinkedIn. Like these guys are like, European, super old school, super concerned about data privacy, blah, 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 blah. They booked 7 meetings last month on LinkedIn.
That's so good.
Yeah. And there's only 3 of them that are active. 7 meetings. And they don't, that might not sound like a big number to a lot of people, but like
but that is.
These guys need to close like 1 deal a quarter basically to hit their goals.
Yeah. But even so, let's talk about my MSP. Hold this point because I want you to finish it, but I just want people to understand. And so all the MSPs out there, your new law firm or new dentist or new client that's paying you for managed services, you guys are $1,000 to $10,000 a month. You just booked 7 calls, like potential. Yeah. That's a $70,000 opportunity, and hopefully your close rate is greater than 4%. It's that is big. That's quantifiable. That's a big number.
It is. I mean, it's performing better for them than any other channel right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to say that they just started really going in on this like in like Q1 of this year. And this is a strategy that you will get some instant results, and you will also get results that compound over time. So I think the mindset shift that I'm seeing right now that I really want everybody to take seriously is, it used to be that we would think about pipeline generation as this very sort of like cyclical thing. And this is still what I see with most of my startups. They're like, oh, we're going to a conference, we got to do a campaign to get meetings at the conference, or like, oh, let's do a closed loss campaign, or like, oh, we have a new product coming out, like let's let's let everybody know about that. Or like, oh shit, we need more pipeline, let's go send out a bunch of emails. And this approach is always going to be more work for you, because you're doing everything as a one-off. And
well, you're recreating momentum every time also.
You're recreating momentum every time. And it's fatiguing for your market, that you're always coming to them with this like sense of like urgency. And it's very you focused. So you're not giving people a consistent chance to raise their hand when they're ready. You're like, hey, we're ready for more leads now. Anyone, right? And you're just not giving yourself enough opportunities to get in front of the 3 to 5% of people.
Yeah, let me unpack that for 1 second, because there's another little micro voice on LinkedIn. What's the opposite of a marketing bro, like the marketing gal? There's all these little like influencer gals that think they're marketing experts, and they're really trying to hammer home this whole the funnel is dead language. And it just kind of annoys me, because the funnel was never a good analogy to begin with. All a funnel's trying to say is that you're going to start with something really big on the top, and you're going to end up with something smaller on the bottom. Like if you have 100 leads, it might turn into close one deal.
Right.
So, but what they do mean, what is valid, is that the buyer's landscape and the buyer's expectation of interacting with your brand is much bigger, and it's much more natural feeling, to be honest, than what we used to understand as a funnel. We used to willingly go into funnels, we'd bounce around the walls, we'd feel it out, we'd see if it was nice, and then we're like, yes or no. There's a lot of resistance to that now. When you get to landing pages and they don't have navigation menus on the top, and it's like the click is forcing you, we all pick up on that. We hate it. We reject it. We push away from it. So that's dead. But like what you just described, that fatigue part is what we pushed away. But what you just described, what we're getting at next, is like this desire to know you, to have this understanding of you and be in your sphere of awareness for a while, makes us more comfortable when we do want to make the buy. But that was still funnel, and you still have to do your part to make sure that you've created that space for them.
That's right. Yeah, totally. The buyer's journey is not linear. And so you need to be giving people a lot of different opportunities to meet you where they're at, and also to get to know you and your brand over time until they feel like they're ready. And so it's gonna break down in a couple of different ways, and I can kind of just go through the steps right now.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Do you want me to start with the network thing?
Where were we? Were we on number 1 or 2 already? Yeah,
we were on number 1, which is map your network.
100% actually, because I do want to get into how creepy we can get, because
Cool.
People used to tell me, I had a VP of sales that used to be like, oh, I've got 12 overlapping connections on LinkedIn. And I was like, I don't know, that means nothing. But like, if you could be like, oh, her sister is my brother's yoga teacher on Saturdays. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You've got social circle now.
Yeah. So there's a tool called View that's really great. It works much better if you sell to people, if you sell to really large organizations, just because you have more surface area to map, but it will map your network's connections outside of LinkedIn. It does like a full scrape of like all available information on the internet and makes inferences.
So creepy and so good, but it's so good.
It's so good. It is. Yeah. It's like, it's crazy how
there was a meme floating around for a while of like a cold call, and the person's like, how'd you get my number? And the guy's like, dude, it's 2026,
Yeah.
So if people don't think this is
same
real,
way your sales team gets people's numbers, man. Like
yeah. Meta, I use this example a lot because Google had a patent that Meta licensed from way back, like early 2000s, which was an emotional detection algorithm through the something detection device, which was a long word for the camera on your phone.
Oh
So
God.
companies have had this data for a long, long time. So like this isn't new. I just think that the contextual mapping of this is more available and more accessible. So there's benefits to it, and it's also creepy, but like there's nothing you can do about it. It's there.
Yeah, it's there, it's happening. But even if you just want to start with like LinkedIn, I find that most people are not even tapping that as much as they should be. So like you should be looking at your network, the network of every person that works at your company. Obviously, all of your investors and advisors, their networks, all of your former coworkers, like, most people have some experience in the industry that they're now selling to. That's why they started their company. So like look at your past colleagues as well, and then all of your customers. And then also like, are there those people that they were your champion, they loved you, like maybe their company didn't end up signing up yet, but they believe in what you're doing. Are there some people that they can connect you to? So
Yeah.
like first thing, I would say at least once a quarter, go in and do like a sweep, and make sure that you're keeping up on who's available in
Yeah.
your universe, and then you want to create a system for making sure that you're asking for those intros on a regular basis. So I would say the people that are not your customers, right? Like just the people in your network, you probably only want to ask them once. But your customers that you have a consistent ongoing relationship with, you really want to be asking them like twice a year. And I would say in general, it's like right after they sign up is a good time. At some way, midpoint through the year is a good time, like when you do your first QBR, second QBR. And then you want to ask again right after they renew. Don't mix the asks. So don't be like, hey, by
Yeah.
the way, your renewal is coming up, and can you like get the renewal first
Yes.
and then be like, thank you so much. Hey, by the way, one more small ask.
Yeah.
I was checking out Chad Tabari, and I think that they
Yeah.
could really benefit from working with us in a lot of the same ways that you have. Would you be open to connecting us? Just
Yeah.
ask for one person. Don't ask them to think of someone. Like, do your research, find one person
Yeah,
that you
for
want to
sure.
think about. Yeah. And
I wonder why, when you hear success stories, initial growth, it almost always is, well, I got referred from my customers, and then they just sort of grew. That was not top of mind for me, though, when you're talking about referrals, like the idea to just go to the customers. Hey, do you know anyone else who you think could really benefit from this?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. That seems obvious. I don't know why I didn't even think about it.
It's the best source that you have, right? And like
Yeah.
that is the highest quality lead that you can get, because it's someone who's
Yeah.
actually using your product, not just somebody who likes you. So like
Yeah.
one category of people you can get referrals from are people who know and like you, and that's all the other stuff. And then there's the people who know and like your product, and those are your existing customers. So create and it's like going from a campaign mindset to like an evergreen mindset. A lot of people will be like, oh yeah, we did a referral campaign last year, we should do that again. No, it has to be a very personal one-to-one ask, and you have to be doing it consistently. So that's thing number one, is like think about how you can intentionally tap the network that you have.
Yeah.
That's thing number one. And never stop doing that. And then thing number
Yeah.
two is you want to expand your potential universe, expand your network.
Okay.
And this is where we want to start talking about B2B social.
Okay.
And so what I find is people don't really have a complete strategy here. There's 4 things that you need to be doing in order to get results from any platform that you're on. And most
Yeah.
people are doing 1 to 2 of them, and they're not doing them very well.
Yeah, let's hear these, because I remember on our last call, you pointed out one to me, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then the way you said, like, why
Yeah.
not? I was like, why not? Actually, I've been doing that, and it works. So let's hear your 4.
So the 4 are content,
Yep.
commenting, connections, and conversations.
Yeah.
And I'll go into each of these in detail. And I would say that the ones that people do the most are like, maybe they're posting content, not enough, and they don't have a strategy for it. And then maybe they're trying to start conversations in the DMs. But if you don't have all the steps in between, it's just really random and you're spamming people.
Yeah. Let me rephrase them. I like the way you said them. Let's stick with yours. I just want to make sure I understood it. So content, putting your text posts, images, videos, whatever. That one most people are like, yeah, that's social. And then commenting, which is pretty obvious. Go on that post, leave relevant comments. Other people call this like putting in your 2 cents, right? And then connecting, but in a LinkedIn context, you literally mean go find people and click that connect button as many times as you can. I would say the same with some of the other platforms. Conversation is subtle. So what you mean is slide into the DMs, right? Like get real. Yeah. I slide into DMs a lot. The conversations are amazing. And I don't know why that blew my, maybe it's because I feel like so many people who slide into my DMs, it's such an obvious sales pitch.
Totally.
I just had a real thing to ask lately because I've been doing the podcast so frequently now. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is a real conversation. So when you have a real something of value to offer someone, like the conversations are easy. Just don't go in there sounding janky and spammy. All right. So you've got your 4 categories. Let's keep going through them.
So I want to ask you a question about that. So how do you decide who and when to start a conversation with?
I have a very specific, I'm going to say I have a specific ideal client profile. The reality is it's probably a 3 or 4 headed person. I just know all of them very well. And then on top of that, they have to be active on LinkedIn. So I actually get a lot of inbound of people asking to be on the show. And some of these are really big names in some other space, but if like they're not on LinkedIn, they're almost useless to me and I almost don't care about the conversation. So I'm looking for leaders in revenue, CROs or CFOs all day. If they're having an interesting conversation, actually let me give you my organic process because this might support what you're going to say. I do start with commenting. I have a lighter content strategy on LinkedIn, unlike other platforms. Posting every day, I don't see a lot of reward in that, so I post three times a week. So that'll go in there. But as I'm cruising through my feed, I will look for relevant conversations that I have opinions on. I'll make a comment on that. If that person is active and actually a part of the conversation and also not just doing AI slop, then I'll bam right in their DMs. Hey Joe, do you want to do a podcast on the CFO lens of a business and AI tools that are working? That's it. Not spam. And then all of a sudden this conversation matters. And then like conversations with you, that sometimes progresses to, hey, do you want another person on your podcast? And that's happened a lot, predictably. So the CRO, CFO is an obvious one to me. I've had a lot of fun with now what I call the periphery, which are people that support these leaders like you and other agencies. So that's the second one. And then the third one is the people that these people lead, if that makes sense. So I spend a lot of time engaging with the sales people. They'll do like a lot of ranting about cold calling, sales stuff. I just love that because I've supported these people for so long. I love those conversations, but I'm not inviting them on the podcast. Does that make sense? Like it just keeps me alive in the conversation, my ear to the ground. And then the second thing is because I'm just an ops and tech guy by heart, I've been inviting a lot of people that are doing real things with tech. And I'll say, hey, I know this doesn't seem relevant, but I've got a kid on named Tanner. Apologies, Tanner, for calling you a kid, but like, if you were born after 2000, like it's just me.
You're good.
But he's doing real AI things, and I'm like, look, dude, I want you to come on, but I'm gonna give you like $700 million problems, and I want you to I want to hear how you think through this. Cool. That's been a lot of fun too. So that's been the people I reach out to. But then when I get the engagement trigger, I go right into DMs, and then the DMs just a real conversation.
Nice. So what I love about that is that you have a perspective on why you're reaching out and who you want to talk to, and you're engaging with people thoughtfully, and you're open to engaging with people at multiple levels of that conversation. Yeah.
There's a lot of people that put engagement bait, which again, do what you got to do, but like, I've never said this out loud. I'm going to say it now for the first time. A lot of people on LinkedIn like to publish hot girl problems. and they'll just be there like,
What's
oh, as a
that?
founder, the stresses of like, I got 20 proposals through my message, through my website form, and I'm like,
The
all
humble
right, so
brags. Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
but I don't engage with any of that. I'm just like, I want like, but then I'll see a very talented person, whether they're using attractive photos or not, that has a real point of view, and I'm like, okay, here's a real conversation that we can have. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I've felt my way through things that I just don't care about engaging with, whether that person's active or not. That's also helped. Pro tip: everyone says there's a bunch of AI slop on LinkedIn. Well, go engage with the stuff you actually like, and then all of a sudden the algorithm starts serving you
totally.
stuff you actually like.
Curate your feed. There
Yeah.
are hundreds of millions of active users. If you don't like what's showing up, that's 100% a you problem.
Yeah.
I want to add a counterpoint to what you just said about
Mm.
the like authentic inauthenticity, like the humble brags.
Mm.
It is a part of the creator journey to
Mm.
not feel comfortable like really
Okay.
sharing things that are vulnerable, right? And
Yeah.
so like when I see those kinds of posts, I'm like, okay, that's the stage that you're at in your journey. And
Yeah.
like I see you, I support you. I don't have to engage with that content, but I'm like, good for you, because I know that in a year you're going to look back at those posts and be like, oh, I've come so far, you know? But
Yeah.
it
That's so
really
good. Thank you
takes
for
time.
thank you for rebranding that humble brag, because one, guys can do it too. And now that I think about it, I can see some of the guys doing that. But even the other day, or just today, someone was like, I ran the Boston Marathon with no prep. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. That's stupid. Like, and I'm not going to engage with that, you know?
Yeah,
Don't do that. Go if you're gonna run a marathon, go prep it, and you probably
right.
walked 3/4 of it. You know, I'm not impressed. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
And also, like, what is your, that is a weird post because it's like, what do you want people to take away from that
What's
post?
the angle? She did it a few times, and it's like attractive selfie. She's clearly at the finish line, so I'm like, you either staged the finish line or like you had some
It,
angle here.
maybe
So
it
I
took
don't know.
her 5 hours. Like, you know,
Yeah.
everyone gets there eventually. I mean, look, like, so I cycle, like putting images on your posts does it does help. It doesn't help all the time, and you don't have to do it all the time. But like we talked last time about building a parasocial relationship and letting people feel like
Yeah.
they get to know you. So this is leading into one of the big questions that I get, which is like, what do I post? What do I talk about?
Yes.
I don't want to be one of those cringe people on LinkedIn. Um, totally fair, right? And also, like, you're gonna be cringe at some point, and
Yeah, for sure.
that's part of it. Every time that I have a post that tanks, I'm like, that was great because I am one step closer to truly not caring what anybody thinks because I just
Mm.
failed publicly on the internet. Everyone can go to
Mm.
my page, they can see that I got 5 likes, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to embrace the cringe, and you also want what you're doing to be effective. You don't want to feel like you're just shouting into the void. So
Yeah.
if you want to make content, like I would say, yeah, if you want to post 3 times a week, that's enough. And your post should be these 3 types of posts. One should be a point of view post. And your point of view post is what is your unique perspective on your industry or the problem that you're solving. So
Mm.
like for me, my perspective is that most founders are not bad at sales. They've been
Mm.
gaslit into thinking that they're bad at sales
Mm.
because they are pressured into following advice and frameworks that were never built for them, that were never going to
Mm.
work for them in the first place.
That's
And
good.
yeah, and
I feel
so
like I'm bad at sales. And just,
you're
but you
not
know what's funny? You know what's funny is I realized if you put me on a call today and in any number of services I could probably fulfill, I'll close the deal. What I hate is the prospecting side of it.
everybody does. Everybody does.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm learning as I'm watching more successful, the two owners of this building, shout out to Palette North Shore, by the way. I keep meaning to mention them more. This is their conference room. They're expanding into several cities around here. I've learned a lot from them. They asked me to come on board. I was like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of a part of what you guys are building. But I'm watching that like they just behave differently, and so I don't know. Maybe my opinion was like I have to be behind this desk on a phone, like making all these janky phone calls. And I'm like, oh, I'll never be a successful entrepreneur because of that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not bad at sales. I just am not prospecting correctly.
Well, totally. And like, I think one of the things we're talking about here right now, right, is that a lot of prospecting is like just get in the game and build make it a consistent muscle. And then that will compound over time more than being like, oh, I got to sit down and like, I got to do prospecting. I got to make a bunch of calls.
But just so I am going to title this video, it was something about like never do outbound again or cold outreach. I don't know, but like I'm hoping I am hoping it's true. I see some people, here was the hot girl problem complaint. She was talking about her success on LinkedIn, but then like how much she hated her success on LinkedIn because she had anxiety around all the numbers. And now again, let me correct myself because I hear more. That's a humble brag. That's like a rich, famous musician saying that he or she is so tired of being rich and famous. Mm-hmm. But also, I was like, I don't care about the premise, and take a break. Like, stop looking at it. Right. That being said, I am pouring into LinkedIn. I see there could be a trap. Like if you spent 8 hours waiting for the little notifications number to like go on again, okay, you got a problem here. But also I am leaning into this because I do believe there's a world where I'm not doing cold outreach and I'm just in a bunch of warm conversations all the time. So I'm hoping this title that I put in this thumbnail is going to be true also.
It is. I mean, it is going to be true. And I am seeing this work for all of the companies that I'm working with that are taking me up on this and that I'm teaching this to. But you have to have a system. So, like for the past couple of years, people are like, be authentic and just post and da 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 da. I'm sorry, that doesn't work anymore. And it hasn't worked for quite some time. And this is particularly relevant now because I think everybody knows like LinkedIn did a big update to the way that their algorithms work in Q1, 360 Brew. Is now they have to do this because there are now more creators and there's not necessarily that much more attention. So they have to have more intelligent ways of splitting the attention that they have and funneling it to the right people. And they want to they want to keep helping more small creators grow. So the more that you are consistently talking about just a couple of themes that are tied to your headline, your about section, all that matches with your content, LinkedIn will learn these are the things that Monica or Chad is an expert in, and they will reward you for continuing to speak on topics that you own. So you want to pick a couple topics that you own. So
I am worried about that actually because when everyone was explaining what's it called? 360? How'd they call
360 Brew.
Yeah, 360 Brew. I was like, oh, I'm fine because I am a RevOps guy. I've been a RevOps guy for 20 years, and that's all I really talk about. But I've really started to pay more attention. And I'm like, is that all I talk about? There's a lot of AI stuff in my feed now that I create. There's a lot of I post things from the podcast. A lot of it is LinkedIn heavy now. A lot of it is things you might not expect about running businesses. And so it's like, am I business growth? Am I AI? Am I social media strategist? Now, I guess to be fair, in my head, all those things lead toward business growth. And even as a revenue operations professional, I have always been about making your business bigger through supporting the sales teams. But now I'm having to ask myself, is it clear? Is there continuity when you look at me and say, okay, he runs revenue operations for CROs and CFOs? What's that mean? Why does he keep talking about cloud? Cloud code. So I don't have an answer for that yet, but I'm paying attention more now. I think it applies to me more than I thought it did.
It does, and you also have to think about like what is your lens. Like I've always talked about B2B sales. I've always talked about how to sell to how to sell B2B SaaS to mid-market and enterprise companies. That's what I've been talking about for my whole freaking career, right? Like there's no topic switch there, but the difference is why should someone listen to what I have to say about those topics? And like, what are they going to get from me that's special compared to the, hundreds of other people that are talking about very similar things. And that's where these kind of 3 content pillars come in. And what I see most people do is they only do pillar 2. So we talked about pillar 1, that's your unique point of view. So this is something that, this is something that sets me apart. And people either vibe with that or they don't. So right away, that's a filter. Are these your people or not? Pillar 2 is, what do you teach? And this is what most people only post about this. And it's like, you're just talking at your audience and why should they take your advice, right?
Yeah.
So once people are like, yeah, you're right. Like, I do feel like, the other advisors, the other sales consultants, like sales experts, I do feel like they're very gatekeepy, and I think that I should be able to figure this out. And then I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm with you. You should. It's really not that hard. I'm going to teach you how to do it. And then that's pillar 2, is where I'm actually teaching them specific, actionable, tactical frameworks that are designed to work for B2B SaaS founders between 1 and 10
Okay, so I think that, sorry to make it about me, but I feel better. I'm talking a lot about AI specific to go-to-market because I want to actually teach you how to use it. And I think so I do feel better now. I think everything I say about Cloud Code, OpenClaw, ChatGPT, it's really to help you manage your pipeline in your CRM. And also, I don't think you need to pay some strategic AI advisor $1,000 a month to like hear what you could pick up from a YouTube video in 5 minutes. So okay, that's a helpful categorization to say, all right, I do have a point of view on running businesses and running operations. Here is a highly technical thing that most people misunderstand that I want you to use in real life. So here's screenshots and more points of view around it. All right, so that was bucket 2. Got it.
But it has to fit into your POV. So for example, if I was going to talk about AI in sales, which I do sometimes, I wouldn't be talking about how to set up a AI coaching tool for your reps. Because the people that I'm working with have like less than 10 people on their sales team. They don't need an AI coaching tool. They don't have it doesn't make sense for them, right? They don't even have the kind of volume to make sense to set that up. But what I would talk to them about is, I'm like, okay, get all your data together so that you can make use of these things. And here are 3 very simple ways that you can use the AI tools that you have access to right now. They're all using Claude. Here's how you can use Claude and Sybil to get more value out of what you're already doing today without paying any more money, without implementing a new thing, right? I'm not going to tell them to build like a whole like data lake and like create their own CRM on top of it or whatever. Like, I'm not going to do that because that's not relevant for them. But I will say, hey, everybody's telling you that you should be using AI more in your sales process. Here are 3 ways that you can do that right now with the tools that you already have to solve the problems that I know that you guys already have. Right? So like that's kind of like the difference. And so number 1 is your point of view, which is why should people listen to you in the first place. Number 2 is, okay, what do you actually want to teach them? And these posts should be very valuable. You should be aiming for someone to save that post. Before you post, ask, if I read this, would I be like, oh, I'm going to save this, I should come back to that. Yeah,
I need to get better at that. I also started, which again, I appreciated that you said the content creator's journey, because you have to have some grace on your own path. Like sometimes you're just getting the at-bats in and feeling it out. Now I really have to sit down and say, why am I about to type out what I'm about to type besides just to hear my own voice? And I try to ask myself, well, can somebody get something out of this, and or can it create meaningful conversation that will like move us all a little bit farther ahead in the right direction?
That's right. Yep. And this category is like the easiest one in a way to write, because this should be coming directly from all of your conversations that you have with your customers. Like I get most of my ideas here from like coaching calls that I do with my clients, from like questions that I get on sales calls, things like that. And then category number 3 is, what's something that you want to share of yourself? And this is like why people will care about what you have to say. And this is the part that people struggle with the most because they're like, I don't want to be an influencer. Meh, 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 meh.
Yeah. But
And
this is like a personal touch, right? You know, like
it's a personal
more than
touch. It's
just,
like,
yeah.
yeah, because it's like otherwise you're just a random, you could not even be a real person, you know?
Yeah.
And the key here, again, is to have a strategy. So you pick one thing that is also kind of relevant to your audience. So for example, mine is that I believe that entrepreneurship is a personal growth journey and is like one of the hardest spiritual journeys that you can undertake in your life. This is something that I believe very strongly. I live it every day in building
Yeah.
my own business, and my clients are literally entrepreneurs. So,
Yeah.
you know, so I just picked that one thing, and then I like a third of my posts are about that thing. It's
Yeah.
actually not a third, about half of my content is teaching content, and then 25% is point of view, and then 25% is like something personal that I'm sharing. And so you're picking your lanes and you're sticking with
Yeah.
them.
But how do you feel about, so that's a great sub topic, a deep one that I like also. But I mean, I don't, when I see someone, I mentioned the architect not long ago, he like got off the C2 rower and I was like, oh, I like respect this guy more. I saw him doing something difficult on a row machine working out. So like gym pictures, you know, is there low hanging fruit people could lean into and they're still adding that personal touch?
Well, I mean, the gym could be your thing. There's a fourth category that's like a little bit more advanced,
Okay.
which is just content that's supposed to broadly appeal to a lot of people. I do that too, and I have three topics for that. So that's where you're talking about like your kids, your workouts, your
Okay.
sports team that you like. But again, pick 2 to 3 of those. And
Well, then tell me
keep
more about
talking about
three
that thing.
before we go, because then I guess number four is kind of like I said that I have a really attractive wife, and every once in a while I'll put a picture and she's like kissing me and it gets a bunch of attention and I'm like, oh, okay, that's easy, but I use it sparingly now because I want to make sure I'm on topic. So it sounds like four is kind of easy, and like everyone likes cute kids, for example, or your
Yeah.
cute pets. So then, but what's three? So three sounds more not difficult, but like
So
more
three
intentional.
three is like pick something that you can make into a series that you can talk about consistently. So for example, like one of my clients is she's a really talented artist. And so she's like, oh, I could talk about my journey as a creative person, as an artist, and balancing this with being a new mom and having a job, and like how do I get back to it, like how am I showing up for my art, basically. And I was like, that's amazing. Also, her paintings are really good, and I'm like, people would love to see that, and they would love to support you in that. So it's going to be very different for everybody. I think, for a lot of people, it's like really easy if you play golf or if you play basketball
Okay.
or if you're a runner or like, those types of things that a
Okay.
lot of people
It
can relate
sounds like
to.
then that helped me when you said golf or runner. Like I like jujitsu and Muay
Great.
Thai. Those things are journeys.
Yes.
So there's one like the journey where you're the guide and you're taking your ideal client profile on customer journey. But then there's like, here's another journey that is also a part of your life, and it goes on long enough that you could talk about it, and it's
Yeah.
something people understand. Like if you constantly train for triathlons, for example. Okay, now I'm tracking with you. So something you have to care about, not just these little one-offs, top of market, top of funnel, high market things.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
exactly.
super interesting.
Or like I'll give you an example. So like people will do vacation posts and they're always really boring. They're like, last week I took a whole week off and I went to Hawaii with my family and I didn't look at LinkedIn once, and you've got to disconnect to reconnect and blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
This is just a reminder that some unoriginal opinion follows.
Totally, and it's so freaking boring. So that is
Yeah.
that is
Okay.
how that is how not to do this. How to do this is like, let's say that you are really into travel and you
Yeah.
go on 3 trips a year, right? So
Yeah.
make it a whole journey. Talk about how do you pick the destinations that you're going to? Do you have hacks for like how you
Yeah.
pick hotels, or like how you get really good deals on flights, and like what do you do when you're there? Do you do tours? Do you not do tours? Like, what are some of the really cool places that you found? Like, really like go in depth. Do you have kids? How old are they? How do you plan
Yeah.
for, how do they travel? Like, how do you keep them entertained? Like, just like how can you really expand that topic?
Yeah, this is like whole person content, He
Yes.
or she is more than X, they're also Y. And I know they're Y because they consistently and they're congruent in their presentation of this other thing. All right, that's
That's
interesting.
exactly right. Yeah. And this is one that I used to struggle with a lot, because I was like, of all the things that happen in my personal life outside of work, like what do I want to share and how do I want to talk about it?
Yeah.
So just picking one thing, and then you just, your content, your page it's a TV show, and people need to know what they're going to get when they tune into that show.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
So that's thing number one. That's content. That's how to do content right. Thing number two is commenting. We all know that we need to comment on posts. Most people aren't doing it enough, myself included. You should aim for 15 comments a day, minimum. Like, if you're really going all in, you should be doing 30 to 50, but I know that that's going to be overwhelming for a lot of people. 15
Yeah.
is really easy, and here's what it is. It's 5 comments on your ICP's posts. 5 comments on people that are doing similar things to you. Could be your competitors, could be adjacent businesses. And then 5 comments on other really big influencers, thought leaders in your space. So this could be
Yeah.
like people that host a popular podcast, people that run a conference, people, right? Like, they should be people that have really big followings, because you're going to be able to benefit from that attention. And so
Yeah, I work off of lists every day, like just to help me organize. I have a list of things I need to get done, and on this list, film 2 podcasts, which you're one of them.
Great.
But on the very top now, every day I put a 2020, and that's 20 invites and 20 comments.
I love that.
And that's just bare minimum. And so I'll spend, sometimes I do more than 20, but like I haven't finished the day unless I get the 20. And I've started doing, so I need to define more strategy around this, but I have found that mine falls into, I've been letting the algorithm feed me, but mine falls into ideal clients, colleagues, and then I've started to collect a short list, and by short list, there'll probably be 10 to maybe 50 max at some point, where these are contributors where we have either a similar voice or I'm normally relevant in the conversation, and I try to be top post on that. And I don't mean by like I try hard to do a clever comment. I just mean when I see Daniel Priestley just posted something and it was 3 minutes ago, I'm like, bam, comment right now.
Nice.
So it's like I want to, when Priestley's on the feed, I want to be in that conversation ASAP. And then there's a few other people like that. Some surprising ones for the business owners out there. Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know him, and like the
Yeah.
viewers here will know him. Not everyone knows about him, so he's not getting super blown up. And he posted
Really?
something a couple days ago. I ended up being a top comment on that, and I know you'll talk about this in a minute, but your comments get seen. You see the impressions, 25,000 something views on that, because I said something very basic about CRM on a Benioff post, and I was like, oh, now, so now I'm like, so my point to the viewers though is, go into the space that you serve and find the list of the CEOs and CROs and CFOs and just wait for their posts and like make sure you're in the conversation. That's all I'm saying. Don't even go crazy. For damn sure don't use AI, but like just be in the conversation.
Please don't use AI. Right. And you have to say you should be writing like 2 to 3 sentences. Like, it shouldn't just be like, wow, great point, Mark. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
No.
you've gotta actually say something material. So it does, and people are gonna be like, wow, this sounds like a lot of work. It is a lot of work. You're building your brand here, you're building your pipeline. And it's like, do you want to do this work? Or
Yeah.
do you want to write another fucking email sequence that's gonna get a 2% response rate? What do you want to do?
But I just want to say to anyone sweating bullets right now, it's not hard because I don't know if maybe this was a limiting belief and I was just finally like, okay, I don't care what people think. But I stopped trying to crack. I just said what's relevant and top of mind for me. And I found as a little pro tip, I do a lot of cold reads. A cold read is like an old dating term, a ratchet little cringe red pill term where it was like, oh, I bet you're from Kansas City, huh? You know, that's a cold read. And she either says no or she laughs. How'd you know? Right. Well, on the Benioff post, it was something about CRMs, and I was like, I predict that CRMs, and I just made a cold read of something that I really believe, and it doesn't matter if someone goes back 5 years later and they're like, oh, that didn't age well. Like, who cares? Like, just what's your actual thought on it, and do the prediction and have an opinion and stand for something and put it on there. Those things do amazing for me, and they take me zero effort to just say like, I guarantee you that ChatGPT is going to come back with this image 2.0, and or actually the one I do a lot is like Gemini's a sleeper nobody's thinking about. You know, it's just make a declaration and don't give a bunch of room to like be right on both sides.
And like, I mean, again, LinkedIn is a 24/7 conference. Do you think that you would be very successful if you went to an actual conference and all you did was stand at your booth and talk to people about your product? Sure. You got to leave the booth. For sure. You got to go to other booths. You got to go to the happy hour, and that's what the comment section is. Yeah. So, and then the third one is connections. So I'm so glad that you took me up on this.
If I don't hit my weekly limit by Saturday, I'm like, I still have something to do.
I actually didn't hit my limit last week, and it was one of the first weeks in a while. I feel really bad. But you get 150 to 200 connection requests every week. You should be maxing all of those out. And by the way, when we talk about commenting, you should be commenting not just on your first degree connection posts. Find people that you don't follow yet, go to their page, comment on their stuff.
That's good.
You can connect with them or not, but like people have this really rigid view where they're like, oh, I'm going to find like only people that could potentially be my customers. And then I'm going to send them a connection request. And then I'm going to comment on their stuff for a week. And then I'm going to DM them and ask them for a meeting. And it's like, stop doing that.
But that's why strategy is working so well. And that's also why I feel like it's a window or a wave, because it's not, it's like just acting normal on LinkedIn is winning, and eventually more people are going to figure this out. And then like it's not like it'll stop working, but the disproportionate returns will normalize.
And we're going to have to find a new strategy. Because like the thing that I just said, 5 years ago that did work, but now it doesn't work anymore. So comment and this is your job. Like this is what you've chosen to do with your life. It should be fun. Like it's cool. Like it's all the people like you, and you're just having conversations with them all day. And then the last one is taking that interaction and starting a conversation in the DMs. And I think that
one question about comments, or about the connection. I haven't done this yet because I'm only like 35 days into the Connect strategy. But I saw some random short that, and again, the internet said it, so it must be true. She was like, go back to your requests that are over 30 days old and withdraw them. Yeah. Is that a thing? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So you will get more. You can use those requests for somebody else if they haven't accepted.
But there is a threshold, right? So what do? You go back and look for over 30 days old, or like what's your take on that?
I think I would say two weeks to 30 days. It's like if they haven't accepted in that amount of time, they're probably not going to.
That's good.
So just use the invite for somebody else.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the next one is
slide up in those DMs.
Yeah. So let's talk about how this all works together, right? Let's zoom out for a second. So you're creating good, relevant content, and you're showing a little bit of yourself in it. Your name is showing up in other places where your community is hanging out. So it's not going to be the first time that somebody's heard of you. And you're sending connection requests. So the commenting and the connection requests, they're like, oh, who's this person? They go to your page. They're like, oh, wow, she's writing a lot of really interesting stuff. She's got good content consistently on here. Like I get messages from people a lot that are like, hey, I saw your comment on like such and such post, And then I went to your profile and I just binged a bunch of your posts. And
so
now
good.
I sent you a connection request because I want to continue to follow you. Like it seems like I like your content. And I'm like, great, amazing. Like that's how that should work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
And then,
I've heard you say this out loud before. I just want to make sure I'm right. You're a fan of not putting a note in the connection request, right?
no. Yeah. So
Same for me.
if I'm
Same for me.
sending, if I'm just like, oh, these people look cool, we have some friends in
Yeah.
common, no note. But if I do have something very specific to say, then I will
Yeah,
put
that's a
a
good
note.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy. Actually, this is the power of this. I don't know whether it matters or not. He'll probably never see this. I like an author called Oren Klaff, and he wrote Pitch Anything and Flip the Script, and I want him on the podcast. And I see his little face dropping to the message. So he's reading them. He's not blowing me off. Just haven't had the right pitch yet. Anyway, I sent the request, that's the one time when I was like, I'm going to take a moment here, and I said it very specifically. Oren, are you still doing podcast? Would love to talk about the new book and how that impacts new sellers, and how they might use frame control to do whatever. Boom. Okay, he accepted. So I'm a what do you call it? First degree connection with Oren Clough. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I didn't expect that. So the rest I'll have to work, but I guess my point is, normally when I get a message with the connect request, you're trying to sell me like YouTube thumbnails, and I hate it. So I smash that button all the time. I never put a single message in there because I want people to just look at the profile and see the content and be like, it's congruent. He doesn't look. I don't think he's trying to sell me like solar panels. They accept it, and everyone goes on. And also, pet peeve of mine. Don't when like the freaking when the connect goes through, don't go right into my DMs and then try to sell me something.
No.
It's like even
Yeah,
worse.
exactly.
Just
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be like, hey, thanks for. Okay. So I do sometimes send, I'll just send a like, hey, thanks for connecting, and then a little emoji, but that's it. And what I'm trying to do is
that's fine.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to see if they will respond. Cause like maybe
Yeah.
they do really want to talk to me. And if they don't, that's fine. But like, here's a little trick. If they do respond, even if they just say like, yeah, cool, Monica, now there's a two-way conversation and they're more likely to see your content after that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little hack for you guys.
Yes. Okay.
So
So we're sliding into DMs now.
we're sliding into the DMs now, and not to leave you guys on a cliffhanger here, but we only went through the first two steps. The third step is actually to do targeted outbound, but that can be a topic for another day. I feel like these first two steps are the ones that people are not doing enough. And this, if you start doing this now and you run these plays consistently for the next 90 days, you will see results. And then if you layer in intentional outbound on top of that,
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're building a flywheel where you're consistently getting in front of your audience in different ways at different times.
Well, but what does that look like at a high level? Here's the not the blind spot that I have, but I recognize the chink in my strategy. Right now I'm on easy street. I'm doing a lot of content, publishing, and engagement. Nobody knows that I have anything to sell them right now. I've done sales support long enough to know that like some random bluebird's not going to drop into my message and be like, Chad, can I give you $50,000? It's like I need to know. I need to make an ask at some point. I haven't made an ask, so, and I don't even know what that ask would be. I guess is why I haven't made it. But what does that outbound look like at a high level? Do you mean these are strategic campaigns to the DMs, or like are you getting the emails, or are you doing some kind of sending letters? Like what's the outbound?
So it doesn't have to be like super. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy. It can be like a pretty traditional, 3 channels. You're sending messages to people, but again, you need to have layers here. So what you want to think about is like you've got your evergreen campaigns that these are going to like your core ICP clients, not the biggest companies in your industry, just the core ICP, right? And this is like you just want to consistently have messaging going out to them, good messaging with like a pretty good degree of personalization. Because like you will get results on that, and these are the people that you want to constantly be staying in front of. But that's just one piece of what you're doing. Then you also want to layer on top of that signal-based outreach. And don't go crazy on the signals, because people are like, oh, intent data, blah, 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 blah. Most of it is bullshit. Like you really don't want to over-index on that. But a signal could be, the way that I like to think about signals is basically micro-segmentation. So are there like little clusters of people in your market that are probably more disposed to want to hear from you right now? And so it could be that like you just had a great conversation, or a great conversation with a prospect, or one of your customers just got great results with you. Okay, so that's a signal that there's a specific use case here that is very relevant and very resonant. So fun thing to do, go find 5 to 10 other companies that are likely to have that exact same specific use case and do a little micro campaign, right? That could be an example of a signal. Or it could be like, is there a new regulation that's happening that's relevant to the people in your market? That would be another example of something you could do there. And then the other thing that you want to do is like a trigger-based campaign. So a trigger could be like you're going to a conference, or like these are like the normal campaigns that your marketing team is thinking of. Signal-based is like super high touch. The Evergreen is like medium touch. And the trigger-based is actually pretty low touch, because the reason that you're reaching out is not really about them. It's about like this external thing that's happening. So those are kind of like the 3 strategies that you want to layer in for outbound when you do it. And then you're also creating this consistent momentum on social, so that when you do land in someone's inbox, they're more likely to have heard of you, heard of your company, had some kind of interaction with you before. Even if they never engaged, 90% of the people that see your content are never going to engage. So
yeah, I do have that. I feel like people don't believe that, but even when I was just doing, it was regular business content, I'd still put them on LinkedIn. People would walk up to me 6 months later, hey, I love your videos. And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen you on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
So it works fast. All right, so what else? Is there anything we didn't cover that you wanted to cover?
No, I mean, I think we went through a lot of it. And I write about this stuff as well. I'm going to be creating a lot more content on this topic myself, because it's something that I'm talking to all my clients about right now. So if people have more questions, go to my page, read my posts. You can hit my DMs. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have about how this might work for you.
All right, and tell us specifically, where can they find you? Who do you think should find you? So which LinkedIn, which websites?
Yep. So best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm just Monica Stewart on LinkedIn. And the best people to follow me would be, anyone who found this interesting, and then also particularly B2B SaaS founders.
You're awesome, Monica. All right, appreciate you guys. If you made it this far and you like this episode, I want you to hit like and subscribe for me. I will see you in the next one.